Hi everyone, today I have the pleasure of interviewing Michael.
So my name is Michael Pallier. I'm the Managing Director of Sydney Sotheby's International Realty. We specialise in selling luxury homes and lifestyle properties in New South Wales and the Australian Capital Territory. We have sold nearly 900 properties this year, and our average sale price is about $5 million. So our turnover at the moment is about $4.2 billion this year. It's our biggest year we've ever had. And we've got some incredible agents that work in our office who sell lots and lots of properties.
How did you get into this property market, Michael?
So I started just over 28 years ago. Before that, I worked for 14 years for Rolls-Royce and Mercedes-Benz. I was a motor mechanic for the first 7 years. Then I moved into the sales department selling Rolls-Royce and Mercedes all around this area.
Yeah.
And then one of my clients said to me one day, you should sell the houses because you know all the people that own the expensive houses because they're your clients and you're doing a very good job selling the cars. I was actually the number one salesperson in Australia for Mercedes-Benz. And he said, if you offer the same service, I'm sure that people will use you to sell the houses. And he was right. And that same client I still deal with to this day. I speak to him probably at least once a week. It's the same client that got me into real estate.
Would you say that gave you the foundations into the Sydney Eastern Suburb prestige market?
Yeah, I used to catch the train for the first 10 years I grew up in Wollongong.
Yeah.
So I used to catch the train up and down from Wollongong every day, and I used to read different books on selling and all that kind of thing. Then I moved from working in the workshop to selling the cars, learning the psychology of selling, and then selling lots of cars, so learning how to close a deal with people. And then I just applied the exact same principles when I moved into selling houses, and that was at the end of 1997. I think I've sold more than 1,500 properties in this area so far.
I work in the motor industries as well. So I was an ex-business manager, so I did finance for about 10 years, working in the motor industry. So, I know the foundations of where you're coming from. You learn the ropes and how things work and just progress from there. So you always had a sales foundation behind you, and of course, the customer service is number one priority. It was a car, it's a house, it's an emotional sell and an emotional buy. Yeah, I totally understand that as well.
It's great to come from that background. We're all in the same industry, whether we're a plumber, a doctor, a real estate agent, a car salesperson, a motor mechanic. We're all in the people industry. We're all trying to. Right. Zig Ziglar was someone that I listened to, great sales trainer. American sales trainer. Yeah. I actually listened to him live when he was alive. He came here to Sydney. He said you can have anything in life you want if you just help enough other people get what they want. And that's what sales is all about. It's just helping people get what they want. So we've got to show them a reason to spend their money. Yeah. That's what we're doing every day, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
How are you seeing the market this year, like in your agent's perspective, the luxury high-end market? Do you still see it as being strong?
So as I mentioned, I've been doing this for more than 28 years now. I've never had a bad year in the whole time. No matter what happens with the economy, we have GFC, we have lockdown with the COVID, we have the Asian currency crisis, we had millennium bug. We've had so many things in that 28 years to really that you would think would really affect the market. But every year the market's held up really well. The price might go down 10% on a bad year, but generally it's going up most of the time. And the reason is that, you see, if you look at the population keeps growing, especially in this. And so there's a lot of migrants coming in. They keep the demand on the properties, especially the expensive properties. Also, there's a lot of inheritance in the eastern suburbs. So we don't have any death duties in Australia. So when a person inherits money, it can come into a lot of money very quickly. Well, usually they'll upgrade their property. Often they'll do that. They'll often move when they come into an inheritance. So that creates demand and there's always turnover.
In terms of very top end market and the average Australian market, like how do you compare them? Like, what is the difference that you think that it can make this market so strong?
Yeah, that's a very good question to ask. So the average market, houses not in the super luxury houses in the eastern suburb, it's bought by a family who are a working family on an income. Well, it's very dependent on interest rates and employment. People are confident that they're going to have employment. They feel confident to get a mortgage. So they've got to have confidence of their employment. And the second thing is the cost of living. So the cost of living is going up all the time, including interest rates going up. It's more difficult to afford a house because you've only got a certain amount you can earn every week. Like when I was a motor mechanic, my first year I earned $70 a week. So I couldn't buy a property because at $70 a week, the bank would not be keen to money to buy a property. If you're on a set income, you can only borrow so much. And if interest rates go up and your affordability goes down, and that happens to most people in that sort of geographic area, well, prices will have to go down. That's affected by affordability. Whereas the eastern suburbs harbourside market, you've got houses anywhere from $20 million to $130 million. It's not so much about affordability. There's many clients that I deal with here that could buy any property, any house they wanted in the eastern suburbs. So it's just a lifestyle choice for them. It's not an affordability issue. So The market I work in, it's all about them wanting to buy the property, not about affordability. But what's happened in the last 28 years, there's a lot more people have become very wealthy and are in that position where they can pretty much buy any property. So you've got more people competing, and when the special properties come up, the prices go up. So for example, when I first started in real estate, the end of my first year was 1998. I sold a home in Wolsey Road, Point Piper. That house sold for $7.35 million at the end of 1998. That house today is probably worth $90 million. Just before I started in real estate, there was a house called Ulig Lodge in Point Piper. It sold for $9.25 million in 1996. 3 years ago, Clint, who I work with, he sold the same house off market for $130 million. Isn't that a big increase?
Wow.
That shows the capital growth that's been. I often work it out, I work out compound interest and see, on average, Eastern Suburbs properties since I've been in real estate, they've gone up about around 9%. 9%. It's been about 9% compounded. So it's pretty hard to beat that for an investment, and you can get to enjoy it.
Yeah.
So it's wonderful to work selling a product that people can enjoy and it's a good investment and tax-free capital gain. I don't think you can sell a product better than that.
It's more for them. Buying a house is an investment as well. It's not just to live. So they live in it for a few years, they put other improvements, add value to it, and when they resell it, and you see some, a lot of houses, they sell a lot more high value than what it is because they add the value add in there. And sometimes you go, well, this they bought for 20 mil, and all of a sudden 2-3 years later they sell for 30 mil. And there's no tax on it because you live in it, and you move on to the next one, you do the same thing. And that's how rich people get richer and richer. Well, the only tax you pay is stamp duty, right? But and you make more money, and it's like a snowball effect, and just keep on rolling.
What do you see the market for 2026?
I think it really comes down to economy. People buying the eastern suburbs, like what you said, they're never short of money. So money is never an issue. What really comes down to the economy and the interest rate as well. So they use interest rate as an indicator, right? So when you have an interest rate drop and they see that, okay, there's going to be more people into the market, I should get in now.
Herd mentality.
100%.
Interest rates drop, everyone else is starting to buy. If I don't buy, I'm going to miss out. And then boom, that's when the prices start rising.
I think the market will probably stay stable for a while. It wouldn't be a crazy boom or anything until, the RBA announces interest rate drop. Plus there's a lot of uncertainties around the world with the economy, what's going on in the US and all that as well.
You don't want the market going up all the time.
No.
You want it to be stable and healthy. When a seller wants to sell, that they know there's a buyer that will want to buy it. This business of I want to sell and I'll get double my money in 2 years, that's a bit of a funny market. That's not going to last forever.
I think what it really comes down to is supply and demand. So if you got a lot of buyers in the market and then vendors are reluctant to let go of properties, we already know the eastern suburbs are very scarce. And it's not the money, it's still finding the right house.
It's remarkable. Right. I have buyers agents ringing me. What have you got? Gun Barrel Harbour Bridge View, $50 million budget, top street. It's can't find a house. And no one wants to sell them. It's just they don't want to sell them.
Even you have a check there, open check sometimes, it doesn't mean that, the seller wants to sell. So it really comes down to this demand and supply of, how many buyers they are and how many sellers they are as well. And then I think that's what's going to driven the market up or down as well.
I see next year, 2026, I think there won't be a huge number of buyers. I think it'll be even. And there won't be a huge number of sellers. It'll be a pretty even market, very similar to what it is now. And prices will probably be fairly stable.
There's always buyers in every market as well. It's just who's buying. So, I mean, in 2024, for example, beginning of it, we see the interest rate increasing, but there's still a pool of buyers. And the reason for that is very simple, is because those buyers that have been waiting there in 2023 and all of them decide to buy during that time. So there's not too many properties on the market and they're buying at, crazy high prices when the interest rates are up. This is what you call ready to buy, frustrated buyers, I need to buy it. And they are normally being looking at the market for around 6 to 12 months.
You know what I think was also happening? I think the stock market was going up. And a lot of people were making money in the stock market. So even their interest rates were rising, share prices were also going up. So they were able to sell their shares and they were able to buy houses. There was a big differentiation there, wasn't there? The high end was doing very well. The medium range was struggling. It was like two separate economies. Sometimes it goes the other way where the high end struggles and the medium market does well. What I've learned in that 28 years of selling is don't put yourself into just one market, because if that $100 million market stops selling, you won't sell anything for the whole year and you won't make any income. And the 700,000, you'll be very happy to sell every $700,000 property. If you can do a little bit of everything, I think that works well. But predominantly I pretty much do the more expensive properties.
There's a lot, obviously, Chinese people, what I'm realizing, like when you go to open homes and, you know, people are buying it, compared to about maybe 10 years ago, they're probably in the inner west and, you know, lower North Shore, upper North Shore. And I have clients myself coming from those areas and they want to come to the east. So what is it that are attracting them to the, you know, like what are they asking for when they come here? Is it lifestyles, like educations, or what else is that?
Education's a big driver because, again, with Chinese people, a lot of them have only had one child. And that's so important for them. It's very competitive in China. So to get a job and all that kind of thing, to do well. So people know that. They come here and they say, we'll give them the best education we can give them. So they want to buy the houses and the apartments near the good private schools. So that's a big driver. I think whether it's here or it's in Melbourne, with Toorak, it's the same. Or most cities around the world, education and employment are the two reasons that people want to live in a certain area. And if you can have good education and good employment, the house prices will normally be pretty high. Second thing is they want it to be a good investment. The third thing is they want to have a good lifestyle. They're quite sensible when you think of it.
In terms of lifestyle, so you got pretty much like from your office where it is Double Bay, 10 minutes and you're straight to the city. Airport's about 30 minutes.
Got the beach
and
down the
the
road.
Beach down the road.
It's pretty hard to beat, isn't it? And it's a safe area. It's a nice area to live. So
Low crime rates and
nice gardens. Things are well maintained. So who wouldn't want to live here?
With the eastern suburbs, one of the things that people like aware of is the buyer's agent service, right? Can you just go through it, or why is it people using buyer's agent? And
I
do you see?
I can understand 100% why a lot of people want to use a buyer's agent. Firstly, as you said, some agents are quite aggressive, and a lot of buyers don't want to deal with aggressive people. So they say, well, I'll get a buyer's agent, let them deal with the aggressive agent on the other side, you know. The second thing is a lot of people are busy. They're like professionals, doctors, lawyers, accountants, or they're traveling a lot for work, or they've got a family and they've got to look after the family. They don't have time to go out and research the market and look at every property that's on the market. Where they employ a good buyer's agent like yourself. You'll go out there and you do all the research, you see what's available, you'll assist them with the negotiation. If it's an auction, you'll go to the auction and bid for them. And a lot of people are not experienced negotiators. I mean, if you're in a hospital every day working as a doctor or nurse, would you really be very experienced at dealing with an agent on a property and you don't know much about the property market? I don't think so. If you want to go on a holiday, you want to go to New Zealand, you don't think, well, I'll get on the plane and I'll fly the plane myself, do you? Because the outcome will not be very good, I would say.
Of course.
So you say, well, I'll pay a pilot to fly me to there. Well, I think it's a little bit like a buyer's agent. I'll pay an expert to get me the house. And I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and obviously, I mean, the value itself far outweighs, you know, whatever they're getting as well.
And a lot of clients, they're time poor. They don't have the expertise. Even if they did get out and do it, they wouldn't have that expertise. It takes years to build up. So I think it's far better for a lot of people to have a buyer's agent on their side. Because we're working for the vendor to get the best price for the vendor. You're working for the buyer to secure the best property for the buyer at the best price you can get in the market.
And of course, off-market properties as well. Probably got about 130 on my phone.
In terms of dealing with your customer, they might be having a lot of questions or requirements on the property that they are selling. How to actually make them satisfied and in the same time telling them the market is not as good as what they expected.
Yeah, I think you just have to be straight down the line and be sincere when you talk to people. And they got to get your knowledge too, because we know the market really well. They need to be guided by us a lot. We have to say, well, that might be the peak. I think it might be good to take that offer. Or some other times we say, I think we hold and we wait to see what happens next weekend. We maybe get new buyers in that maybe pay more. So we're always trying to see how we can get the best price for the client. And I just find by communication, all my clients, I speak to them pretty much every day. Just keep in touch with them.
Yeah, just be honest with what do you think and tell them the truth about the market, right?
That's right. But I've been around for 28 years doing this. A lot of the people I deal with, I've sold for them many, many times before. I know them really well, like good friends, you know. I just try and think of every property as if it was my own property and I try and advise them that way. I'm very lucky because in this industry, after you've been in it a long time, if you've had good success with people, they come back to you. And it's so much easier when people come back and you're doing business with them again because they're familiar with you and you're familiar with them.
Yeah.
So it works very well. One of the best things that had happened to me this year, I sold an apartment up in Edgecliff Road. You actually saw it was a beautiful older style apartment in Edgecliff Road, Woollahra. A young lady bought that apartment who's 25 years old. I was selling her parents' house when she was born 25 years ago. And her mother came from the hospital and I helped her mother lift the baby out of the back of her car. That's that girl. And she just bought her first property from me.
Wow, how amazing.
Your client is your guest, and if you treat them as they were like, you know, part of your family, and especially around these areas around here where people are, you know, they all have money and then, you know, they're always upgrading, downsizing or whatever. So they always come back to you. So buyer's agent business is no different. I'm now getting referrals from current clients. So it's that same thing where you become part of the, you know, their family.
I have a feeling that people want to deal with the same people. If you go to a hairdresser, you don't really want to go next time and go, well, I'll try another hairdresser down the road. If you're happy with the service, then you'll go back to that hairdresser. Or if you go to a doctor and you're satisfied to see the doctor and they did a good job, you'll probably go back to that doctor. If you go to a restaurant and you get good food and you enjoyed it, you'll go back again. But if the reverse happens and you're not happy, well, then you'll go. But it's a lot harder to go and try something new than to stick with what you're familiar and comfortable with, don't you think?
That's right.
So if you can provide good service, you should have repeat clients. If you have repeat clients, then you've got a great business. You'll get the occasional person will go for different circumstances, but most of the time, if people are satisfied, they'll come back and leave the door open, you know?
I guess the main thing in real estate, the key takeaway we're talking about is trust. So once people trust you, you're always going to have to repeat business and just keep on going over and over and over again. You know, they're not going to go anywhere else because they know that at the end of the day, no one wants to get screwed over. No one likes dodgy people. So if you become one of the ethical person, trusted and honest to people and appears that way and do the right thing by them is what I say, they're always on your side.
In terms of, you know, serving your customers, you see a lot of different buyer's agent as well, right?
Yeah.
So what sort of quality good buyer's agent?
Like Richard said, you need to be really customer service based and you need to have a good product knowledge of what you're buying for them.
Yeah.
So you need to look after your clients really well and give them very good service, and you need to be an expert and you need to know all the agents. So Richard, he knows all the agents. So the first thing we think when we're going to sell a house, well, let's get Richard through and get any other good buyer's agent. Come and have a look first because they have a wide market of people they're dealing with. So he gets priority to see the properties before the client actually sees them. You've got to earn that as a buyer's agent. You have to see what things are selling for. You've got to know what sells well, what doesn't sell well, and be able to advise your client. So as Richard said, you've got to become an expert in the field. That's what he does.
For the newcomers to this real estate industry, is there any advice that you would like to give to them?
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful industry. I would recommend it to anyone, but you've got to be a person that, like any industry, you've got to not be lazy. You've got to have a passion for it and be tenacious and take the long-term view. So you get into it and think, I might not do well the first year because I don't have my contacts and I don't know the market, but I'll do everything I can that first year to increase my product knowledge. Just like going to university or to technical college, you've got to become an expert in the field. Yeah. So once you can do that and then you get to know enough people, you'll do very well. So it's one of those industries, but it sounds easy to do, but it's very hard to do that.
Yes.
Because you have to be mentally very strong because there's a lot of rejection when you first start.
That's right.
You have to earn the right for people's business. No one owes you business. It's like you have to earn the right. And you may not get business sometimes. You may lose business, but you just have to move on and wish people well and you might do business with them another time.
That's right. A lot of newcomers, when they get rejected, you know, they might having a very low energy or maybe think, oh, this is not the industry for me. So into this kind of a situation, and how do you handle rejections?
Yeah, when I first started in real estate, the first 3 years was very hard. You get a lot of rejection, and rightly so, because you're not an expert. Like, I got one good listing, a penthouse up in Melbourne Road, Belvoir Hill, and I wrote the proposal. It took me 7 hours to write the proposal. It was a client that I knew from the car industry. I really, really wanted to sell his apartment. I listed it. He wanted $1.2 million. I auctioned it. This is in 1997. We sold it for over $1.5 million at the auction. And it was just one of those beautiful campaigns that everything ran smoothly. And that owner that I sold it for was so happy. And he's passed away now, but he was a good client and a good friend. So every time I got rejection after that, I thought about his campaign and I thought I was able to compete to get the business. I was able to give the right strategy to get the best price. We executed it and got a great result. So why can't I do it again? It gave me hope that I could do it again and again. Even if I got rejected, I would go for the next listing. And yeah, I've been doing it ever now for 28 years and it hasn't stopped. You just have to work really hard. I was listening to a YouTube interview with a lawyer from America that's supposed to be a billionaire. And he said, some people are born a bit lazy. They're just born that way. You can't change it. Other people have lots of energy. But he said some people just want to take it easy and have a rest and go and play golf and do whatever they want to do. Other people don't want to do that. They want to get out there and do business and be more entrepreneurial. But he said to be entrepreneurial, if you're an animal in the jungle, you've got to be like the lion. And he said the lion is king of the jungle, But to get to the king of the jungle, it has to do some things that other animals might not want to get. The lion gets the gazelle, goes out, catches the gazelle, rips the gazelle apart, eats the meat out of the gazelle. That's what the lion does, right? And it's not easy to do. But he said, if you're a hunter-gatherer in business and you're out there and you're wanting to get the business and you'll fight for the business like a lion does, you'll do well. So we have to be like the lion when we're in business, not like the gazelle. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So the key word I call is prospecting. Right, we always got to be out there prospecting.
Yeah, so that's like looking for the gazelle. I think it's almost like dating, right? But without the romance. So you've got to go and find your partner, and then you've got to please your partner. Please your partner by giving them very good service. You know, and people are happy, they deal with you, they come back to you.
That's right. And you can't just ask, can you marry me on the first date, right?
Exactly. You've got to build a good long-term relationship with people. That's what it's like, a family sort of thing.
But then there's a lot of trial and errors along the ways as well. So, you know, you don't get there day one. You just got to keep constantly improving yourself, and you learn from your mistakes and what you're good at.
Keep a good name. Be polite to people, be respectful to people. If you do that, you'll be successful.
Thanks so much, Michael. Thanks for your time
Thank
and
you.
good story.
Thank you so much for your time today.
No problem. Thank you very much. Sure, we'll do a lot more deals, Michael. Thank you.